employees' net checks haven't been cashed, what do? Do we include this in the W-2? So great question. Yes, it's supposed to be included in the W-2, and yes, you're still responsible for paying it. So let's take a step back. Let's assume that when I hear net checks haven't been cashed, I hear like paper checks. And I'm also going to assume that it's been quite some time. So if the checks are stale, like if they're a week old, they might still be cashed. And frankly, it would be a matter of some goodwill if you were to reach out to the employee and say, hey, I noticed that you haven't cashed your check. Do you have it? We'd like to make sure that you get paid. You know, there's nothing like a call from your employer trying to give you money. This can only result in good. So start there. But if the check has been outstanding for so long that even the bank won't honor it, or you're getting close to year end and you're concerned, what do I do now? So first, see if you can reach out to the employee, see what happened with the check, and if they can come in and give it to you, yeah, swap it out for another one and just issue the net. Don't worry about the taxes. Everything that you took care of when you issued the check in the first place, that's not the net check. That is what it is, right? The withholdings, the federal and possibly state withholdings, any Medicare calculations, all that stuff. Whether it was your company that did it or the payroll company, that part of it, what's done is done. So if your employee brings in the check and you want to swap it out, just make it the net check. If the check is so old that it won't be honored by a bank anymore, you don't necessarily have to get hung up on swapping it out. You can just issue another one. And you won't have to issue stop payment fees on the original one to the bank, because if the bank, let's say, honors checks for 180 days and it's been 200 days, they shouldn't be honoring their own check. And if they do, then they need to not only give you money back for that, but if your account went into any NSF situation or anything as a result, then they need to make you whole in that regard for any fees that they may have charged. Now, the question of how does it make sense? Why would we include this in the W-2 if they actually didn't cash the check? The funds, even once the check is stale, you still have to pay those funds out. And that becomes a matter of what's called escheatment, and check with your state laws about that. So I know that the person who sent me this question is subject to the laws of the state of New York. And in New York, if they don't cash the check and you don't get in touch with them for one reason or another, you have to send that money into the state, and then it becomes a matter of unclaimed property. No longer your problem. You did what you're supposed to do. This is now between the employee and the state. I would also like to interject that, wow, that's a lot of work to go to for a net check that hasn't been cashed by the person you're trying to pay. Consider something like pay cards, that if your employees for one reason or another don't want to deposit a check, maybe they don't have a bank account for their own reasons, so for direct deposit, consider pay cards. No drama, no nothing. You just move the pay onto the pay card and it's there and they can use it. And if you have a really good pay card company, there are no fees even to your organization. All fees with the right pay card company, all fees, even that could be incurred by the employee, don't have to be necessarily incurred. Like there are 3 different ways to do something. You know, if the employee wants to get cash, there's 3 different ways to get cash, including a way without a fee. So fees, there are no fees for your company. Any fees that would be related to the employee could be avoided, because a good pay card company has enough volume that they only need to make their money off of the merchant services rate that the vendor is paying to the credit card company, like Visa and MasterCard, for example. Now, not all pay cards work this way, but if you are going to pursue pay cards so you don't even have to deal with the craziness of employees not cashing their own checks, then make sure to look for a company like that. And a company that you might want to check out is called Rapid Pay. And if you want an introduction to somebody there, just let me know.